Well, eventually we are getting into that fishing weather. We're just coming off of, and I know I missed the big storm on Friday. There was the ice storm, and of course you said you got inundated with calls after that on
lots
Friday.
of injured people after that freezing rainstorm. Yeah.
It's simple, broken ankles, people slipping and falling. And I think that brings us to the caller that we do have on the line. I believe calling us from Russell is Robin. Robin, are you there?
I'm here. Hello. Good morning.
Good
I watch
morning.
every time I get a chance.
Oh, well, that's wonderful to hear. And I understand that you, I'm sorry, might have just had a bit of a slip and fall. So I'll let you ask Brenda the question.
Yeah, it was just before Christmas. It was really slippery, and like I got two dogs. I was walking the dogs. Thanks, Kurt. I know I love your dogs too. But my husband, I fell and I broke a rib. I'm self-employed, and I ended up couldn't work for almost 3 months. So I got no compensation. Is it worth even trying to do anything about it?
Okay, so what I'm hearing...
It's a municipality issue, because it's up to them. They do salt the sidewalk, because there's 3 schools like right close to where I live. So, but this morning they had not salted the sidewalks.
Okay, so one of the initial issues when you slip and fall on a municipal sidewalk is making sure that you know who's in control of that sidewalk, and if it is the municipality, that's one thing. If it's outside school property, maybe it's the school that's responsible. So that's something that's got to be figured out. There can be short notice periods for slip and falls on municipal property. So if you haven't done it already, Robin, you want to put the municipality on notice right away. And that can be as simple as a handwritten letter that you drop off at the clerk at City Hall's desk. Make sure you keep a copy and maybe get them to stamp it that they received it. But just give them notice that the accident happened on such and such a date and that you were injured and that you might bring a claim. Before you talk to a lawyer, before you do anything else, that's what you should do. And that's true for any listener out there. You slip and fall on city property, whether it's from ice or uneven sidewalk, whatever. Put them on notice, because there are tight time frames and there are some cases where you can be cut out because of that. Even though there's a 2-year limitation period, much shorter notice period. Apart from that, you may well have a case if you've been injured on a city sidewalk. The city sidewalks do not have to be perfect, but they do have to meet certain standards depending on how popular the sidewalk is. Like a downtown sidewalk in commuter area would have a higher standard for salting, sanding, clearing than a suburban sidewalk. So it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. What a personal injury lawyer does is gets the city's clearing logs. So every time they salt and sand a sidewalk anywhere in the city, someone in a truck is writing down that it's done. So we have a look at that and we assess, was it reasonable given the weather, given what their standards are, did they meet their standards? If the answer is no, then you have a decent chance at recovering. If the answer is yes, it's harder, but sometimes that we nevertheless can find some liability. Takes looking at the big picture, but certainly slips and falls where there's a fracture are often worth looking into. If you have a bruise that goes away in a week, I wouldn't recommend it because it is a hassle and it takes time and your time. But if you have a fracture and it's affected your income, I think this lady said she was self-employed.
And off for 3 months.
Yeah, that's a big enough loss that you want to look into it to see if you have a case.
And I know, just because from our previous segments, if you do have that situation, if you have your phone with you, you've often said, take a picture of the circumstance or the stairs or whatever, those kinds of little things too will help for future.
Yeah, that makes a really big difference if it's something temporary, like if it's ice that, when you come back to take a picture, it could be different. If you have a picture at the time of the accident, I know it's hard because you're injured, but try and get that picture.
Interesting information. We've run out of time today. Of course, I know that you get inundated with calls after the segments are over back at the office. So if you do have your questions, contact them at Brenda's office. There's the information right there, info@ottawalawfirm.ca. Best way to do so is check out their website, askbrenda.ca, and then all the information is also listed there as well. They are located at 1443 Whitworth Avenue. Always a pleasure, Brenda. Thanks so much for joining us.